Hello and welcome to Domain and Range. Today we're going to learn about domain and range. Domain is the set of all the possible inputs, so anything that I could possibly put into the function as an x value, all those possibilities is called the domain. The range is all the possible outputs, anything that could possibly come out. We've talked about functions like this, that you have this function machine of some sort, and here's our function, and we have some x values that go in, and we have y values that come out. All the possible things that could go in is the domain. All the possible things that could possibly come out is the range. Okay? When we have a situation, we talk about it in terms of the practical domain and range that makes sense for the situation. If we just have an equation or we just have a graph and it's just naked numbers and we don't know what it's about, we call that the theoretical domain or the theoretical range. Okay, 6 examples today. Dustin charges $10 per hour for mowing lawns. So first we need to make an equation. We'll call it, since it's Dustin, we'll say d of h. H is the variable of how many hours. And he's charging $10 per hour. So this function is going to be 10 times h. So if I want to figure out how much money Dustin makes, and I know how many hours, I'm going to input the number of hours, and that'll tell me, multiply it by 10. So if he works 2 hours, it's 20 bucks. 3 hours is 30 bucks, so on and so forth. My job right now is to figure out what is the domain. What are the possible numbers that could go in as the input in for h that makes sense in the situation? In this case, is he ever going to work negative number of hours? No. So the negatives don't make any sense. Could he work 0 hours? He could, and he would make $0. Or he could make any positive number of hours until he gets tired. We don't know how much that is. But let's say for the domain, we would say all real numbers that are greater than 0 or equal to 0. So we would say where h is greater than or equal to 0. Right? The range, we're looking at all the possible things that could come out. So all the possible amounts of money he could make. Well, he's not going to make negative money. He could make no money if he works no hours. But everything else is going to be all positive numbers. So again, we're going to say all the real numbers, all real numbers, really all rational numbers, because it would be a fraction. You wouldn't charge pi dollars. Let's actually change that to rational. Let's change this to rational also. Because we wouldn't charge pi dollars an hour. Or we wouldn't work pi number of hours. All rational numbers where the function d of h is also greater than or equal to 0. So the domain is anything greater than or equal to 0. The range is anything greater than or equal to 0. This is a practical domain and range because it's involving a situation that makes sense. Okay. Second example. Maria charges $25 per hour for tutoring with a minimum of $15. So Maria, in her hours, her function is she's charging $25 per hour. But it's going to change a little bit because it depends. She has a minimum amount. This isn't going to work just the way that we wrote it out here because there's this exception. What if she doesn't work that much? So really there's a couple cases. That's a terrible little squiggly. Okay. If she will make $15 as a minimum, and that is if she works anywhere from 0 to, it looks like 15/25ths of an hour. Can I simplify that? 15/25ths, that reduces to be 3/5. So if she works from 0 hours up to 3/5 of an hour, even if she works 1/5 of an hour, or if she works 5 minutes, she's going to make $15. After that, she's going to make $25 per hour from 3/5 of an hour up. So as long as her hours are greater than or equal to 3/5. Okay? So, what's our domain? The possible things, the possible hours she could work. Not negative, 0 or above, right? So her hours are 0 or above. And the range, how much money is she going to make? More than $15, 15 or above. So we would say the function is greater than or equal, she will make at least $15. Again, these are practical domains and ranges because they're in the context. Example 3. Domain, we're looking for what possible things can I put in here. And this is a theoretical domain. Now I don't know what this is about. But what numbers could I possibly plug in here for x? Anything. So I'll just say all real numbers. And actually the symbol for that, you could write an R with like 2 lines there. That means all real numbers. And the range here, what can come out? Anything. My outputs could be anything. So I'll say all real numbers and just use the symbol for all real numbers. For this one, we've got a domain here. Can I put anything in for x? Any number, you could square it, and that would be fine. So there's no reason why it couldn't be anything. But for the range, you're going to put in a number, square it, times 2, and then add 5. So negative numbers are going to be squared to be positive, and then 5 more. The smallest you could get would be 0 plus 5, which would be 5. So the smallest possible output would be 5. So these have to be greater than or equal to 5. That's the smallest possible output. 2 more. This one, the domain here, would be anything except for what you never want to divide in the bottom of a fraction, 0. So we would say all reals except x cannot equal 0. The range, same thing. All reals, except it will never be 0. It could be positive, it could be negative, but we never would have 0 as an answer there. So f of x would not ever equal 0. The last one, they give us a domain of a couple numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 possible numbers, and they say find the range. So the range, if I plug -2 in, -2 squared is +4. 4 minus 5 is
Please excuse the interruption for your afternoon
-1.
announcement. Thank you to all who contributed to the cheerleading camp food drive.
-1
Gil and
squared.
Grace Tomasco won a free ticket to homecoming. Thank you. The
0
sophomore class
squared.
wall decorating will take place tomorrow until 4:30. All are welcome to help. The sophomore class float decorating is at Emma Frankman's at Friday at 12:30.
So that is really just the numbers.
That's in the woods of Aurora. Anyone interested in carrying the sophomore float, please see a class officer
That's the
today.
main range. Have a great day.